Hi guys, I'm Lauren, that awkward plant girl. Welcome to my channel. It's so good to see you. Thank you guys for popping in. Oh my goodness, this week I totally redid my plant room. I redid everything in my plant room. I was sick for a while there and it was driving me nuts. I couldn't do all of the things that I wanted to do, and I had so many projects and so many ideas, but I didn't have the energy to do it. So I kind of did a lot in this week to kind of make up for that, and I just want to take you through everything that I've done this week. There may be some like daily check-ins, I don't know, but as you can see, it looks quite a bit different now, and more changes are to come, but this is just kind of where we're at right now, and I just want to take you through how I got here. So let's get into it. So first up, I totally had to build a new bookshelf. There was a lot of changes that I wanted to make, but having the bookshelf where it was before, it was a bigger bookshelf. It was very clunky. I could only use maybe 1.5 to 2 shelves out of the 4 or 5 shelves that I had on it. It did not work well, honestly, but I liked that it had open sides. So I wanted to find something that was a little bit skinnier, that was still going to give me those open sides, and this is what I ended up finding. So overall, it was fairly easy to put together. I didn't have any problems putting it together. I was a little concerned because nothing was labeled when I got it. Like, all of the pieces were kind of left open, and not, they said put screw C into this slot here, and I'm like, but all of the screws are all mixed together. So it was very confusing, but I figured it out, made it work. I love that the shelf is white and will reflect light off. It also makes the green pop quite a bit, and I love that there's slats in between the different pieces of wood so that I can get light from all sides essentially to my plants, which is really, really great. And I ended up moving it from where the other one was. I intended to put it on this wall, and then I realized that if I wanted to get another bookshelf for more terrariums, I was going to have to scoot things around a little bit. So that's what I ended up doing, and that's how it ended up back here behind me. And I have a little table with my Maranta back here because the Maranta always loves it here every year. And my Monstera was not getting enough light there, so we ended up shuffling things around as far as that goes. And then I really wanted to make this kind of a backdrop area for when I'm filming. So I'm really excited with how it turned out. I love that it's lush and green, and some of the plants are going to be changed out a little bit. It's been a little difficult figuring out what is going to work on this shelf and what is not. So if any of you have any aesthetic tips as far as shelf organization for plants goes, definitely drop it down in the comments below, because I clearly need some help. But it was really fun to try to fit everything in there. I also needed to reorganize my entire little window shelf here because some plants need a lot of light. Other ones need less light and can be moved elsewhere, so I wanted to shuffle those around. The Hoya went freaking nuts because the sun came out for like 3 days straight here in Pacific Northwest, and the Hoya just went absolutely bonkers. They are all intertwined and everything's all mixed up, and it's a little frustrating. But it's really cool to watch how they are intermingling together. So I want to change that up a little bit and kind of get them back on their trellises and whatnot. So we shall see, but it's really cool to watch them grow and how they're kind of, I don't know, they're just adapting, and clearly it is definitely springtime. The Hoya have spoken. Like, it is almost summertime because the Hoya have spoken. So after I got this shelf all cleaned up, I needed to go back to the original wall, and I needed to set up the table on the other side. This handmade table that I did, I have a whole episode on how I made my plant room and all of the DIY things that I did with it and how I made it for really cheap. So I'll go ahead and link that down below for you. That's got the story of the table, but bottom line is custom paint job, and I really, really love it. It was a $0 table that I got, so I was pretty stoked for it. And I really wanted to be able to show off the legs a little bit better with it. So moving it over to this corner actually worked out really, really well. Also, I needed to find a place for my plants on boards because they couldn't stay where they were at. They were going to fall over without this table. So I had to scoot them over, and I'm hoping that with the more light, it's going to cause them to climb even more quickly because they get direct window light, and they seem to really be enjoying that. So I have the Monstera Adansonii, and then I have the Philodendron micans. We will be air layering the Philodendron micans later because unfortunately I didn't have the ability to have about a quarter of the board with those micans on it. But because I had moved it from a previous board to that board, the older foliage never actually attached to the board, so it was just kind of taped on there, while the new foliage that's up right now is actually attaching to the board. And you can see as the leaves are getting bigger that that's where it is attached and finally gotten back to being happy. So I think what I'm going to do is just air layer that later. But those are kind of back in the corner, giving it more of a vertical space, and they're enjoying the sunlight. And I had to kind of figure out what I'm going to put in the front here. I did end up moving my caladium out of the greenhouse, so I'm really excited about that. I planted them up maybe like 2.5 weeks ago, and they have just gone insane. I am just so excited, and they're so pretty, and there's a whole bunch of different colors. I have one more pot with one bulb in it, and I'm waiting for that to grow something. So I have that sitting there as well. Basically, they just need water all the time, so it's kind of nice to have it out in the open, not to constantly have to open the greenhouse, and I can just water it whenever I see that it's empty. So I'm really liking that. And then this Philodendron Burl Marx really loves to be over here as well. So it was on the bookshelf originally, and I'm just kind of putting it back over here on the table, and hopefully it will love having that sunlight as well. But next I needed to scoot the bookshelf with my terrariums over. It's very heavy. Very heavy, and it was bolted to the wall, so I needed to break out my drill and unscrew that so I could scoot it over and screw it back in. Also, these shelves are super dirty, and I really needed to clean them. So this was kind of like a super excuse to be able to do all of that. And then of course I had to vacuum, but you know. And we still have some plants kind of floating around that need new homes and whatnot. I did end up moving the other bookshelf in front of my north window over here, and it's got all my propagations on it. It's also got all my seedlings on it, so I'm going to be potting those up soon as well. But this for right now is a good area for it to be in, and it gets direct light from that northern window, and then it gets my plants on boards light is kind of shining over there as well, so they're not too light deprived and they won't get burned. But I'm really liking how that is over there for right now. So, and I do have to clean out my greenhouse, and that is over there. Also super excited, I bought a new terrarium and I tucked it under my potting table over there. So we're going to have a new terrarium to work on soon. It is huge. It is like 4 feet. So I'm really excited to work on this terrarium. And I really needed to figure out where I was going to be able to keep it and be able to give it good enough light without me tripping over it constantly because I don't have any furniture to put it on. So I'm really excited with what we ended up going with, and I think it's going to really make everything pop quite a bit. But after all that moving and after all that shuffling, there's still a couple of plants left floating around, so we've got to find homes for them and kind of clean things up a little bit. I also still have to figure out where my little terrarium that was on this table is going to be going, so we're going to have to figure that out too. I also have a couple of plants that need to be potted up together. These red vein Varianta were originally potted together, then I took cuttings, and these are the cuttings that survived, and they just need to all go back together in the same pots. So I got them repotted as well. These plants are so fun to watch grow. As you guys know, if you've been watching for a while, I am sure you have heard me say it before. I absolutely love Maranta. They grow very quickly. They come in a variety of colors, super easy care. You can let them dry out, not let them dry out. They're not super picky plants. Give them a lot of light, give them hardly any light. I mean, they're just really fun, chill plants. I don't know why they get lumped in with Calathea and they get all the Calathea hate because they are so much easier. But you still get the bonus of the leaves moving up and down in the prayer formation. So it's just a really cool plant. But anyway, totally repotted these, got them potted together. They're all super happy and excited now. And yeah, it worked out really well. everything looks a lot better, a lot happier. There's a lot more plants that are able to fit and just enjoy where they're at a little bit more, I think. So I'm really excited for that. I don't know, there's just something about a completely refreshed space that gives it a whole new vibe. I even got a new blue cover for my sofa, which totally changed everything. I made sure it was waterproof as well, so if anything from the plant spills on it, it's not going to go into the actual sofa. Also means I won't have to wash it as much since I'm kind of lazy about that. So anyway, it's just a whole different feel in a space once you get it all cleaned up and changed around, and it's like you have a whole new environment. And I also really love that I'm able to fit more plants in a single space, and I'm able to give them the environment and the space that they would more enjoy. So it's kind of like a win-win-win all across the board, and I'm just so excited for all of the other things that I'm planning on doing to this space. Make sure you subscribe if you're interested in any of that, and if I haven't bored you to tears yet, yeah, got a lot of stuff coming. So make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!